For this final episode of Talking Pictures for 2020, I've decided to look at the life and works of an early Dunedin photographer, this guy, Joseph Weaver Allen. Allen arrived in Australia as a teenager, after setting sail from England with his parents and siblings in 1836. The family were amongst the earliest settlers in South Australia. He married Rebecca Martha Cox in 1854, and the couple settled in to raise a family of their own in Melbourne, before, in October 1861, Joseph travelled across the ditch on the ship Alma and set up as a storekeeper in Gold Rush, Dunedin. Rebecca and the children followed some months later, arriving on the ship Indus in February 1862. Joseph's sister Amelia and her husband Matthew Bailey Lockhart Muir also moved to Dunedin from Australia. They arrived here on the ship Omeo in 1861. The Muirs opened this accommodation house on Bell Hill. Thomas Allen, Amelia and Joseph's father, appears to have lived there with them until his death in 1868. The establishment became known as Bedford House. The Muirs ran it until around the time of Matthew's death in 1877. One of the Muirs' neighbours was pioneer Dunedin photographer William Melish. It was Melish who taught Joseph Allen how to take photos and encouraged him to pack in his job as a storekeeper. And when Joseph and Rebecca Allen's sixth child was born on the 7th of September 1865, the only one of their 7 children born in Dunedin, they named him William Melish Allen. Sadly, however, William Melish Allen died on the 29th of September 1867, not long after his 2nd birthday. Including his family in his images was a trademark of Allen's early photography, such as this shot, which features 3 of his children. This one, which is thought to show a daughter or granddaughter. This one not only shows his son Frank in the foreground, it also shows his darkroom tent, which was another feature of some of Allen's early photography. Allen spent about 20 years as a photographer in Dunedin in a variety of locations. For a time, Frank joined his father in the business, and it was known as Allen and Son. So let's look at some of the images Allen produced in those 20 years. This view is of the 1865 exhibition building, when it was first built. Note Allen's darkroom tent on the left. Allen seems to have produced quite a few views of this corner of Princes Street and Maury Place. His studio in the 1860s was just a stone's throw away from here, round the corner on the left of the shot, beside the synagogue. The buildings on the left would likely have been quite new when Allen took this photo, all of them replacements for those lost in the 1867 fire that ravaged this part of Princes Street. Another new build captured by Allen was the one going up in this photo, the building later known as the Exchange Building. Note how Bedford House still dominates the skyline beyond the rising clock tower. And here's the completed look. The builders are gone from out front, but the semicircular patch on the roadway shows where they've been. And here's the building again, a bit closer this time. Allen also produced many studio portraits, such as these ones from the museum's collection. This is a particularly interesting carte de visite produced by Allen, because not only has he captured Mr. Latham's likeness for the front of the card, he's also put a photo of his back on the back. Some group shots now. The Volunteer Fire Brigade, when the station was in Lower High Street. It would seem taking school photos has always been the bread and butter of a photographer. The museum has many photos of school groups taken by Joseph Allen. And here we have the staff of the Mosgiel woolen mills. Picnic gatherings were also often captured, including this one at Woodhaw, with one of his sons pictured again, and which appears to have inspired this well-known painting in the museum's collection. In the mid-1880s, Joseph Weaver Allen appears to have moved back to Australia, or at least was residing in Melbourne when he passed away on the 29th of May, 1886. Charles Clark Armstrong took over Allen's stock of negatives when Allen left, which is why we see "Protected by Armstrong" added alongside Allen's signature on some of his reprinted photographs. Other members of Allen's family ended up back in Australia too. The four surviving sons, Joseph Alexander, Frank, George and Alfred, all returned to the country of their birth. The youngest, Alfred, went on to become quite famous in Australia as the founder of Allen's Confectionery. In a way, Joseph Weaver Allen's departure from Dunedin didn't spell the end of the story of the Allen family and photography in Dunedin. Joseph Allen's nephew, Thomas Mintaro Bailey Muir, son of Joseph's sister Amelia, had also begun establishing a career as a professional photographer in Dunedin in the 1870s. No doubt he will be the subject of a future episode of Talking Pictures. Thanks for watching.